All right, it's a great time of year. We are all in the festive holiday spirit. Well, I shouldn't say all. There are a lot of people who are not in the holiday spirit. In fact, I ran into a couple of people yesterday who said, I just don't like Christmas. But most people love Christmas. And then there are people who, for whatever reason are suffering through emotions. This is an emotional time of year. And so my buddy Glenn Simpson is here. Glenn is the System Service Line Administrator for Behavioral Health at ECU and the Brody School of Medicine. And he and I were at church on Sunday talking about this. And I said, let's do a segment on it.
Excellent.
So how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
It's great to be here. And thank you for acknowledging that for some, the Christmas season, the holiday season can be a little bit tough.
Yeah, why is that? I mean, is it just because people, it brings out memories and emotions and things like that? Is that generally?
It sure does. And then, for most of us, or many of us, it's kind of a joyful time. But if somebody's struggling with their emotions, it can end up being anxiety and stress producing. And as society, we focus a lot on everybody being joyful and happy and going to events and everything. Mm-hmm. And we sometimes, with media, social media, we are hearing that tragedies like you just talked about before in terms of in Israel, there's tragedies across the country, coupled with then these wonderful holiday movies. And the social media, Facebook or whatever, where people are saying how well they're doing. And if you're not doing that well, that can affect you. Like you go, I'm not happy like that. I don't have the joy like that. Mm-hmm. And when we get to that point, oftentimes we start going a little bit backwards with our emotions.
Yeah. So I was talking earlier this morning about the people that we're trying to help at Christmas. It's a great time of year, and so many people reach out and help other people this time of year. But, you just don't know what someone's going through. We just found out yesterday that some of the folks we delivered, not me personally, and I'm not going to say who, but I got this word back that some toys were delivered to a home. This is a woman with grandchildren. She's got 5 grandchildren she wasn't expecting to be taken care of, and had reached out for help on Christmas gifts. But when they got there to deliver the gifts for the kids, they found out the kids didn't have beds. Oh, no. The kids were sleeping on the floor. And so, again, thankfully, we've raised enough money. We're going to buy those kids beds.
Excellent.
But it's those kind of things that, we don't think about because, most of us have so much. But we need to think about those who don't. And I would imagine for a parent or a grandparent who is not able to do what they want to do for their family, that can be very depressing.
Right. And there's a lot of pressure on society, right?
Yeah, right?
One of the things about Christmas time and holiday time of the year is presents. So the way I look at it is it's not just presents that we give, but it's having presents ourselves. Mm-hmm. Presents versus presents. And so it actually helps us if we're not in a good place to help somebody else.
Right.
And you've probably heard those stories. And I've been in places where somebody's down on their luck, so to speak, and then they're volunteering somewhere, and all of a sudden their mood improves. So that's one of the tricks.
If you'll allow me to tell one more quick story, because you just sparked another memory from Friday morning.
It is your show, so okay, go ahead.
We're going to get to all your notes. But Friday morning in Morehead City, we're raising money for Operation Santa Claus, and this gentleman comes in, and I don't remember what he gave us, $20, $50, $30. It was a small donation, but it was I thanked him, and we put him on the air, and he said this on the air. He said, look, I've been there. I've been one of the people that needed help at Christmas, and so, I can't help much, but I just had to come and give something today. And it's exactly what you're just talking about, and he probably felt great about that. So that was worth telling probably. All right, let's go back to people. Give us some tips. If people, number one, talk about some of the signs that you might see in a neighbor or a family member or a friend that's really struggling this Christmas.
So usually the easiest way to spot things is a change in behavior. Yeah. So somebody who's usually the life of the party or very social, all of a sudden becomes a loner. That's probably an indication something's going on. It could be physically or mentally, right? So if we're not feeling well, we have a tendency to be reclusive. The problem is when we're kind of reclusive, when we're dealing with our negative emotions, is nobody either realizes or we don't seek help. So really the trick to it is to ask people, how are they feeling? And, that's a common thing we say. How are you doing today? You go into the fast food restaurant. But ask them how they're feeling. If they say fine, and we all know what fine means, ask them kind of how they're thinking about the holidays, or ask them more about their thoughts. And if they say everything's good, but you still like, okay, but there's a change.
You can detect.
You can detect. Reach out again.
Right.
Like, don't let that stop you, because some people feel like, well, he's just being nice. She's just doing her thing. But if you go back and say, hey, I wanted to check back on you, you just don't seem like yourself.
Right.
And just ask those questions. And sometimes we're afraid to do that. But many people appreciate somebody taking the time to ask and give them some feedback in regards to, oh, is there something up?
How about coping mechanisms for somebody? Let's say someone's listening to us today and they're already getting a little bluesy because we're approaching. What do you do? How do you pull yourself out of it?
So, easier said than done, but setting some boundaries. Oftentimes at this time of year, there are expectations that are beyond what any of us can do, whether it's the gifting that you talked about, giving presents and you don't have the money to do that, being invited or expecting to go to holiday gatherings and everything. And so if we're not taking care of ourselves, because mental health is health, so the physical component of us affects our mental health, and the mental health component of us affects our physical health. So if we're doing all these things and we're stressed out and we're running around, we're going to get a little bit down. We're going to get a little bit worn out. Some people can handle that very well, but for some people, they end up that kind of stays with them. So I kind of look at is, okay, so you're a little stressed during the holidays, but when January 1st comes, are you still feeling as stressed? And it's really in January that I say that somebody is having some mental health issues that may be significant enough to receive care.
Again, if you're just joining us, my friend Glenn Simpson here from Behavioral Health at ECU. Glenn is the service line administrator over there. What resources are available? If you see someone really struggling and you don't think you can help them, what's the best course of action?
So clearly, family and friends. So if you see somebody and you don't think you can help them, but you know their brother, something like that. But also your primary care provider, healthcare professional, clergy, reach out. That's the key, is reaching out. And if somebody's feeling like it is really moving into a mental illness or very unhopeful, maybe even suicidal, then that's the time to seek professional help. But a really cool thing we have across the nation, just for about the last year and a half, is a 3-digit number that anyone can call 24 hours a day to speak to a counselor about mental health issues. It doesn't even have to be really a crisis. So I tell people, if you don't know who to call for help, call 988.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
And 988, if you're dialing it from an area code in North Carolina, rings right here in Pitt County.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. So 988
is the 911 for mental health.
There's a mental health counselor on the other end of that line
24/7
if you need help.
And you can also text 988. So if some people are more comfortable with texting.
I'm glad you told us about that. I didn't know about. All right. Anything else we hadn't missed about? I got another question for you, but what about any more holiday blues tips for us?
I think, again, so you're setting the boundaries, realizing that everything that you see on the Hallmark Channel, everything you see on Facebook is not necessarily always real.
Right.
And so
people don't show their worst side on Facebook, do they?
Right. Well, most people don't, right? I mean, you usually see that. And I think the American Psychiatric Association recently did a study, and they are saying that 31% more Americans this year are reporting stress from the holidays than they were a year ago. So you have to wonder, well, why could that be? We're kind of past COVID, but COVID had an effect on all of us.
Sure.
Whether we had it, we didn't have it, we all knew somebody with COVID, right? Or knew of somebody with COVID. The economy, you were talking about that before, inflation and everything. It's tough times. You mentioned the lady who had her grandchildren sleeping on the floor or something. So we're seeing more of that. The unrest in the nation, and then you were just talking about the unrest in the world. And we see all that instantaneously. And so that has a negative impact on us because we're getting bombarded either with horrible things or things that may not be true, but it sounds like everybody's around the Christmas tree singing carols, and you've lost a loved one this past year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And my family's going through that because we lost my mom in January.
You're right.
Will be our first. So, you just gotta work through it.
And you gotta acknowledge it and
right.
speak about it.
Right.
It's when we go inside and we stop talking to people about what's going on with us. That's when it gets bad.
There are a lot of people in that situation. All right, I got another question for you.
Sure.
On a more positive note, although that was all very positive, thank you for those great tips. We're getting a new hospital. We're getting a behavioral. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying? We're not going to call it a mental health hospital.
It's behavioral health.
Behavioral health hospital. This is a huge deal. They've had the groundbreaking.
Yep. Last month.
I tried to show up for it on the day before. You were out there saying, no, it's tomorrow. And then I couldn't get back the next day, so I apologize. But tell us about this new hospital coming to Greenville.
So I couldn't be more excited for the community and ECU Health and the people that we are dedicated to serving at ECU Health. This will be a state-of-the-art behavioral health hospital that will be located in Greenville, close to our medical center now, but down the road, a little bit on McGregor Downs, right? So just kind of behind the hospital, down the road,
just across the street there from kind of the nursing school in those areas,
right. And so the thing about that is we'll have 144 beds in the state-of-the-art facility that will look like wonderful.
144 beds.
144 beds, and we will serve children and adolescents. And right now, if a child or adolescent, and this is sad, but sometimes they do need psychiatric hospitalization in a rare circumstance, the closest is at least 75 miles from us. So we have to send those kids ways away. And that makes it hard for families and just the transportation and everything, too. So we'll also have a unit for co-occurring, so folks that are struggling with mental illness and substance use, because they kind of go hand in hand. You mentioned behavioral health. Behavioral health includes mental health, substance use, and intellectual developmental disorders.
When will it be open?
We're shooting for the spring, summer of 2025, so less than 2 years. Groundbreaking, like you said, has occurred. Construction's about to start any day.
And was this part of the huge haul that Greenville and ECU got during the legislative?
We appreciate everything the legislators have done for the state as well as for Eastern North Carolina specifically. $835 million going to behavior health out of the General Assembly budget. So thanks to all the legislators and the governor and everything for making that happen. But we have been actually working on this for years. Right. And so this was in the works and announced before this budget. Right. So this will be not attached to that. However, some of that money to be used will be for training. Yeah. And so we'll be training more doctors and stuff.
It's great to see you.
You too.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, take care.
Glenn Simpson from ECU Behavioral Health. And again, that hotline, if all else fails with holiday blues, 988. Dial 988. Good to see you, Glenn.
Thank you.